So the conversation that I had with my guru about, um, I had other conversation. I've had ongoing conversations with him about Egypt and such. Um, is that they were an example of a place in which people who trained did so in order to go to market. There was no there might have been some education of householders and royals and various things, but for most people, they were training with the idea that then they would go to the market and be bought based on their qualities, and they were not guaranteed anything. They could be a scribe and be sold to just purchased by anyone with the money for a scribe, and it was a householder's decision if they wanted to waste money on a scribe to help them read and write and work through forbidden texts, and then the householder would be subject to a terrifying punishment if they were caught. The scribe would be regarded as a pet, as taken and euthanized. But the a householder would have been subject to execution if if it could prove that the slaves used were overexposed to something forbidden, but were not personally culpable. And so they had those concepts there. Very similar. This must have been Hittite Egypt, and not pre-Egyptian Sudan culture. So, where they still had the hybrid culture of the Upper and the Lower Niles, but mostly it was an imitation of the Upper Nile culture that had left and actually settled in the Tarkim Valley and various places around there. Some people dropped off with the Dilmans, and they got out of there because the Hittites were pumping Blue Lotus into their region, and they noticed that they were making different decisions, and the children were different, and they weren't relating to one another, and they were making mistakes based on things that they held dear, and that they wandered off. Now, those are my ancestors. We left before Egypt started, but we had an influence on what Egypt became. So, my husband and I having shared ancestry at that point. So that is something that is still alive in the Himalayan cultures, that when you train in something, you might be training in something in order to become a chattel, and that those chattels are traded, and that they, in order to proceed, you need the authority to do so. And they are not allowed to say so because it's not politically correct to talk about these kinds of things. But other people like me can talk about it. That's where the royal induction comes in. There are things that I can do because I'm royal that other people wouldn't be able to do, and there are things I can't protect people from. This is something that there is no set learning process for this. I might wake up to find people I really cared about in bad situations, so be self-preservative. But it is different for a queen than it is for a king. And a king can open things up in such a way that a queen cannot. Say that the queen is left behind and there is no one to be king. She can still rule a plantation, but not a kingdom.